Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our Q&A. This is Season 3, Episode 17. And this episode is going to be a little bit different. Normally we pull questions from our YouTube comments, and we kind of grab them whether they were specifically with a Q&A in mind or not. Today what we're doing is we're answering one question. It's a kind of big question.
It's a doozy.
Yeah, it touches on a lot of points, and it was sent to us via email, via somebody named Jonathan Hung. And so this is a long one, the question itself, but hang in there. I think it's interesting.
Oh, I should point out we don't normally post email stuff like this and name people, but we've sort of been in contact. He's agreed to let us share his name and his questions on our channel.
So starts it off with, "Hi gentlemen. This is going to be a long email. If you don't read through it, I won't be offended. And 2, I'm going to ask some personal opinions and questions. If you prefer not to answer to maintain your privacy, I also won't be offended." He says, "I've been following your YouTube channel for years and have gone back and watched every video on both main channels. I haven't watched all of the videos on the extra channel yet."
We should probably interject. Thank you very much for watching all our videos.
Yeah, those hundreds of views. If you watch those all without ad block on, that could be upwards of $1. So that's
actually, and that's not nothing. I mean,
for a single person to contribute that much, that's actually probably you're contributed the single most to a channel out of any of our viewers.
And I really want to point out, because it can sound kind of smarmy, because actually literally that is it. People expect us, because we've got thousands of subscribers and thousands of views per video, that we're actually rolling it, and we're not.
And we're making ones of dollars per video.
Basically, yeah. So that's actually pretty spectacular. So thanks. No sarcasm or irony intended.
Yeah. And definitely, I mean, somebody who's willing to watch all of our videos, we appreciate that level of being a fan of us. That's really cool.
Getting back to the letter.
Yeah. So he says, "I played Injustice Gods Among Us without any glitches and completed single player and had some success with multiplayer. I started glitching to speed up the gear grind, as the gear shattering payouts were much worse before. Eventually I ended up using the challenge reset glitch, last laugh ticket glitch, promote any character glitch, time shift glitch, helium random pack reset glitch, and time shift glitch to breakthrough faster. I also ended up buying helium premium to support the devs as well." That's a good move. Good on you.
Yeah, we've said that a few times. We don't even want the extra features, but it's been so useful to us that we are happy to support.
Yeah, it's good to support stuff you like.
Yeah.
I've now made a very specific list of what criteria I'm looking for in a mobile game that I'll play. A, I only play 2 to 3 at a time and may drop one and pick up a new one if an old one is 100% complete or reasonably close to 100% completion. B, it needs to have characters that I like or will care about. For example, you guys didn't care about WWE too much, and it was a contributing factor to you dropping the game, other than the lack of new characters for months. C, the game should be playable offline in an airplane mode. As you know, some communities in the GTA are quite long, and mobile games can be a fun distraction.
Commutes, I think.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm not picking on you. I just thought that was a kind of funny slip.
I am reading a lot here. And D, most things should be eventually grindable without a paywall, and I totally agree here.
Yeah.
The rate of progress should be rewarding enough, and it would be nice if there were glitches to speed up the grinding a little.
I think actually, and I'm going to interject again in the middle of it, I think those are absolutely perfect criteria.
I think we share a lot of that stuff in common. I play a lot more like PC games, but I do the same thing for a lot of these.
I found trying to keep up at one point with Immortals, Mortal Kombat, and Injustice, it was backbreaking. And I guess maybe part of it was doing the channel and wanting to be informative and have some expertise if we're going to do videos on it.
Yeah.
But trying to maintain the grind on all of them, I was finding myself really resenting Mortal Kombat and Immortals, because I really had no emotional attachment to any of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so back to the query again. About a month ago, I started playing a new mobile game with my son and considered letting him know about a glitch in the game to reduce the grind. What's a good way to introduce shortcuts to my son, but explaining why cheating is okay in some instances? Should I go through the history of cheat codes in video games, built-in shortcuts that some devs left in to help the players? The principles of glitching used in Injustice Gods Among Us are extendable to other mobile games that have offline mode and or random packs. Time glitching and time zone changing are also useful strategies.
interjection here before we answer the question. I totally agree. Part of some of what we've built on in the few glitches that we've discovered for ourselves is manipulating the same principles of things that work for other glitches and applying them in other areas. So absolutely true.
So just to finish it up, thanks, and hope you have a suggestion on how to approach cheating in mobile games versus cheating in real life.
All right, so let's unpack that, because there's a lot of great things.
Yeah.
And maybe it works to help with talking about the one distinction that we've tried to stick with from the very beginning was the difference between cheating and hacking.
Yeah.
Because using glitches and cheating, you're working with what's actually there in the game, whether it was intended by the developers or not. It's there. And you're using the game in a way that's possible. And you can make arguments about what you think they intended. And that's fine. But I think there's a definite step further that you go when you hack a game and you manipulate the code, and you're essentially in some ways breaking it a little bit to get it to do what you want it to do.
And I get the instinct to want to make sure that your kid understands what is and isn't okay when you're talking about cheating in one thing versus not cheating in another. I think really how it breaks down is what needs to be made clear is what the goal of doing a thing is, because like the other cheating,
right,
would be like cheating. Well,
because that's ethics. Ethics has a lot to do with intention.
Yeah. So in a game like this, the only goal is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else is secondary, really. And in other examples of cheating, I guess if you're talking about a kid, a lot of the examples of cheating would be like academic stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the example of academics, the goal is learning. So in a something in which the goal is fun, if doing something that you're not intended to do is more fun, and that's kind of the only factor, then that's okay. But in a school environment, with the goal of actually learning, cheating means that you're not actually accomplishing what the ultimate goal is.
So what's funny about that, I totally agree with what you say, but what's funny about that is people have gamified school to the point where they've lost sight of the fact that learning is what's important, and they've adopted the intermediate goal of getting high marks, and that as being the most important thing, which it's not. Yeah. Marks were only ever meant as a way of sort of gauging how well you're processing the material, right?
So that's one thing, and I think I guess the other thing that's important, even within the scope of games, is that you can't just consider yourself. You also have to consider the kind of external consequences, the consequences that aren't actually a factor for you. So in this game, which is a little bit multiplayer, it would also be bad if you were making other people's experience worse by cheating, and we can see that with people not even cheating the same way, but more like hacking.
Right.
So like, you know, when we play against hackers, it's a frustrating experience. So I think if you can get the idea across that cheating is actually okay when it doesn't detract from the ultimate goal of the thing that you're doing, and it doesn't detract from anybody else's experiences just in general. If there's really no victim, if there's meaningfully no downside in all the possible ways that you could measure a downside,
right,
I think that's what's most important.
I'm going to add a few other things too, though. I mean, part of the question was cheating in real life versus in the game. I think there doesn't have to be a huge distinction, because cheating in this game does have impact in real life, like you were saying, with other players who want to rank up,
yeah,
but also to the developers. And one point we've always tried to make is that, again, you say that it's victimless, and there's a good argument to be said that the people who are using glitches would not otherwise be contributing. And that's sort of true and not entirely, because there's an author recently, Maggie Stavater, who did an experiment with her books, and I'll gloss over a big part of it, but her point was that she actually was able to show that a lot of the people who were making the argument, well, it doesn't really cost you because these people weren't going to buy anyways, she showed that was wrong, because when she made it harder to illegally pirate her books, the sales were actually significantly better in a meaningful way. So one of the keys in order to do this properly,
yeah,
is to really support the devs, because you got to do it in good faith. You can't just say that if you like something, you support it. We've used glitches for a long time, and we appreciate the game, and we support the devs, and we've done it by buying energy recharges, by buying the computer game.
Yeah, we bought copies of the console game. I actually bought, like, at one point, like, a couple of them when they were on sale. Gave them away. I gave some to my friends just because I owed. Well, I didn't actually technically owe it, but just for everything that we've done and for all that we've benefited from the game, I wanted to support the developers.
Right, and so it's easy to say, well, I'm just, again, with piracy being a sort of a relevant kind of analogy, is that, and it's probably closer than I want to admit, but that people will make the argument, I'm just sampling it, and if I like it, I'll pay for it. And in a lot of cases, that's not true. And the best way, if you're going to be explaining to your son how cheats and glitches work, part of it will have to be that you're going to set an example to say, really, if there is something that you like, you will support it.
And I think the good news is, from what you've said, it sounds like you share a lot of our sensibilities, and it sounds like you're going to be able to pretty well live by example. Because you told us that you bought Helium Premium, right? To support the developers, and you seem like you're coming at it from a kind of informed, and you want to have your son have the nuanced perspective on the actual issue and what he's doing, right? You want to make sure that he understands his actions. And so I think coming to it from that perspective, I think it's going to be hard to do too much wrong. I think if you're thinking about it as much as it seems like you are, and you're doing really your level best to explain it, I think you're going to come out giving him the best explanation possible, and you're going to be presenting these ideas to him in giving him a really great opportunity to learn them, instead of just kind of like start glitching or cheating or like cheating in life even, without understanding the ramifications. I feel like you're going to definitely be able to get those across to him much better than just maybe him figuring out eventually by himself will.
Because it comes back to intention, but intention, it has to do with what you tell people. But you can either tell people your intentions or show them your intentions. Mm-hmm. So at the point where you actually, some people actually will say that they don't want to pay anything for content.
Yeah.
And if you start from that point of view, then you've already lost the battle, because then I don't think there's anything meaningful that you can teach somebody that won't sort of spill over in other areas where it's nothing else matters. It's just what I want and that's it, which you're trying to get away from. And so it really is. We're sort of talking at it from different angles because of the different kind of arguments that are made for how people justify doing what they do. Yeah. And I'm not saying that anybody else is right or wrong, but I guess we're just talking about what our reasons are and how we feel that we can still be consistent and talk about a game and say honestly that we love it while supporting the devs, but also actively
glitching and telling other people how to.
Yeah. Because part of it is actually, too, the fact that the glitches are there. If we're not doing it, somebody else will. And what this does is it evens the playing field, because we've seen so many different times where people will tell us in the comments, don't share the glitch. You shouldn't have done this because this is what got it patched.
Yeah.
And I actually don't have a problem with that, because what it means is that this is something that's available to everybody. It's built into the game. And if it means that one person doesn't end up having an advantage, because we could have been playing for ages, I guess, using the same glitches and having an advantage over other people, but in my mind it feels like we're helping people out.
Yeah, and I feel like that's an opportunity for us to actually be adding to the enjoyment that other people get, and we're allowing other people to make the decision for themselves, and we're not trying to make that decision for them.
And again, that's not all of it, that's just part of it, right? Because part of it all has to do with how you feel about the game, how you're impacting other players, and how you're having an impact on the developers. And I don't know that there's necessarily a right answer, because I think there's always a possibility that somebody's going to be able to characterize it as cheating's bad, it's an absolute, you really shouldn't do it, and you're going to hell if you do, or wherever the bad place is. Yeah. I'm really enjoying The Good Place, by the way.
It's a really good show. It would not be appropriate for you to show to your son, but you might.
Well, it depends on how old he is. Actually, I forgot to ask you how old your son is, Jonathan. So maybe if you're listening to this, you'll maybe respond in the comments
or in an email if you don't want people to know how old your son is.
So that's
Which
true.
Which is fair.
Yeah. So you can see why we made this sort of a one episode question, because we've gone way past the point of the fight. It's been long gone, long done. but it sort of touches on a lot of points that are interesting to me.
Yeah.
To both of us.
But so there we go. That's your bespoke video, Jonathan, for being such a long-time fan. This one's just for you. Nobody else watch. Actually, it's too late. You've already watched it. We should have said that right at the beginning. This one's only for Jonathan.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, we appreciate all our viewers, and no irony intended either there. We've gone with this way longer than I ever thought we would.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty spectacular ride, and I know we joked not too long ago about this being the end of it. It isn't the end yet, but it's lasted way longer than it would have. The end would have come a long time ago if it hadn't been for the viewers who've been supporting us by watching our videos.
And I mean, we joke about how little money we get, but really every cent is
bonus.
Is more than I was expecting and more than I need to want to make these videos.
So thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.